Imagine this, a sudden wave of tariffs crashes down on mighty luxury brands like Mercedes and BMW. What happens when a nation risks losing its automotive giants overnight? In the high-stakes world of global trade, one event can send shockwaves through the economy. The recent engagement with the European Union, which could impose a 25% tariff on every German car entering the United States, sets the stage for a crisis. Massive layoffs and factory closures cast a shadow over Germany's industrial might, while rising competition adds fuel to the fire. As the luxury car giants, synonymous with German engineering, face an uphill battle against unexpected tariffs, the stakes could not be higher. President Donald Trump's unapologetic stance, "If you don't produce here, you can't sell here," reverberates ominously. The automotive sector, a complex web of global supply chains, feels the first tremors of turmoil as the possibility of climbing tariffs threatens their very existence. A 25% tariff on Mercedes-Benz and BMW vehicles looms on the horizon, but it isn't just the manufacturers that are sweating. Picture this, a dealer waking up to an empty showroom, new luxury cars gathering dust. Thousands of dollars added to the production cost threaten to suffocate their market. The choice is agonizing: skyrocket prices and risk losing customers, or absorb the losses and watch profits evaporate. Alas, neither option proves sustainable, and a hasty retreat seems inevitable. How did a powerhouse economy like the US reach this tipping point with its German allies? To understand the gravity of the situation, let's break down the numbers. The BMW factory in Spartanburg, South Carolina churns out 270,000 SUVs each year. Mercedes has produced popular models in Alabama for eons. Yet, this thriving landscape could turn barren with tariffs shooting as high as 200% on imported parts like engines and control units. Waking up to such unexpected news leads to panic, not just for the dealers but also for countless ancillary businesses reliant on this automotive ecosystem. Amidst the chaos, the Trump administration maintains a hardline approach, adamantly stating its intent to protect American interests. They claim factories must either stay or face extinction. Meanwhile, the German automakers are left counting their losses and pondering their next moves in an uncertain landscape. Could the potential exodus to Asia offer an escape route? Or has the US lost its hold on Europe's premier automotive brands? As the crisis unfolds, we are not just witnessing the fall of renowned manufacturers but also the collapse of a luxury car culture embedded in America. With costs soaring and production threatened, what's at stake in this merciless game of tariffs? The answer may shock you, as the future of the American automotive market hangs by a thread, waiting for a turn that could change everything. How will this high-stakes drama of tariffs and industry giants end? Prepare for revelations that could reshape the automotive landscape forever. In the midst of a brewing storm, German automakers found themselves at a crossroads. Faced with escalating tariffs, the looming decision to withdraw from the US market wasn't just a business move, it was a life-altering gamble. Could they sustain their luxury appeal in America, or was this the ominous beginning of their end? The BMW plant in Spartanburg, South Carolina stood tall, churning out an impressive 270,000 SUVs each year. These vehicles not only catered to domestic buyers but were also exported across the globe. Mercedes too had established roots, assembling popular models in the heart of Alabama. Meanwhile, Audi steadily gained traction with its luxurious imports. However, the tranquility was shattered as a sudden 25% general tariff loomed overhead, supplemented by shocking tariff hikes of up to 200% on vital imported components. Engines, electronic control units, digital instrument panels, all suddenly became exorbitantly expensive. What went from being a profitable enterprise turned into a nightmarish predicament. If they opted to pass these costs to consumers, the outcome was bleak: sales would plummet. Alternatively, absorbing the costs meant catastrophic losses with each vehicle sold. The stakes were too high, and the only viable decision was to withdraw. News of the impending shutdown spread like wildfire across social media, leaving automotive dealers reeling. Premium German cars that once dazzled showroom floors now sat lifeless, adding insult to injury. Questions about warranties, spare parts, and service loomed over this once thriving ecosystem. A significant slice of the components utilized in these assembly plants was still imported from Germany, Slovakia, and Mexico. With tariffs skyrocketing to 200% on these essentials, the financial math just didn't add up. Thousands of dollars were tacked onto the cost per vehicle, and the specter of disrupted supply chains loomed ominously in the shadows. In boardrooms, panic morphed into swift calculations. Raising prices was out of the question, their reputation would shrink with each dollar added. Writing off tremendous losses was not sustainable either. This was a crossroads that extended beyond mere numbers. Entire industries, from financial institutions to automotive accessory producers, were thrust into chaos. That renowned culture of luxury, once so vibrant, evaporated in a matter of hours. What had begun as a hearty success story crumbled under the weight of unforeseen tariffs and economic uncertainty. How did it unfold so swiftly? Why did it reach such a critical impasse? Now more than ever, the future of these automotive giants hangs in the balance. In a tumultuous turn of events, the Trump administration held steadfast to its aggressive trade policies, uttering the resolute claim, "We are safeguarding our national interests." Factories must either remain in the U.S. or cease to exist. The reality for automotive giants like BMW and Mercedes became increasingly stark. The Spartanburg plant in South Carolina, renowned for producing the X-Series SUVs that carved out a global market stronghold, now faced shutdowns. Mercedes, too, had contributed to the economic landscape in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, a vital resource for thousands of American workers. The unrelenting whirlwind of tariffs rapidly reshaped this landscape. Chilling projections revealed that by the close of 2024, these brands collectively sold around 950,000 vehicles in the U.S., with combined revenues soaring between $55 billion and $60 billion, accounting for approximately 6% of the entire U.S. auto market. Such an abrupt detour in the industry meant that the sudden loss of this significant market share resulted in billions vanishing from the annual sales tally. Specifically, BMW produced around 270,000 X-Series models annually at Spartanburg, with a striking 70% destined for the domestic market. This pivotal operation was anticipated to generate roughly $14 billion in revenue for the company in 2024. Meanwhile, Mercedes manufactured 260,000 SUVs, including popular models like the GLC and GLE, at its facility in Alabama, raking in an estimated $13 billion from both national sales and exports. In contrast, Audi opted for a different strategy, while it didn't engage in local production. It imported and sold around 230,000 to 250,000 luxurious sedans and SUVs each year, contributing an estimated $15 billion to the American market. As the automotive giants contemplated their next moves amid escalating pressures, a pall hung over the industry. How would they adapt to such constraints? What consequences awaited the U.S. economy as these brands reevaluated their commitments? For these legacy automakers, the looming reality was clear: either reinvent their strategies or risk exiting a major marketplace altogether. The atmosphere tinged with uncertainty, where factory floors once buzzed with productivity, now echoed with foreboding silence. What hidden strategies were at play behind closed doors, and what new alliances might bloom in this shifting terrain? The stakes couldn't be higher as whispers of significant transformations traveled like wildfire through the industry. Would they make their critical decisions before it was too late? Imagine waking up to a world where your dreams of luxury drive vanish in an instant, where the roar of engines from Spartanburg and Tuscaloosa fades into eerie silence, leaving showrooms jammed with untouchable vehicles worth billions, their warranty papers turning to dust. Dealers stunned, financial empires crumbling under the weight of sudden voids in sales and logistics. That's where we left off, Mercedes churning out SUVs that raked in $13 billion, Audi flooding the market with 230,000 to 250,000 sedans and SUVs pulling in $15 billion, all while Trump's iron fist grips the automotive world tighter. Now, brace yourself, who knew a single policy could shatter decades of gleaming alliances? In these companies' intricate dance, American soil hosted partial assembly, but vital gears, engines that hum with power, and gleaming displays soared in from Germany or beyond. Washington's tariffs spiked to 200% on those imported treasures, think engines vibrating with raw energy, control units pulsing like a heartbeat, panels lighting up like futuristic dreams, slamming Tuscaloosa and Spartanburg into a nightmare of skyrocketing costs, each vehicle groaning under thousands in extras. Audi's import-heavy reign teetered on collapse, its smooth sedans feeling the crush of isolation. For years, these titans wove ambitious webs, BMW dreaming of electric beasts tailored for U.S. roads, pouring billions into prototypes that whispered promises of speed and silence. Mercedes envisioning sleek platforms here, Audi plotting expansions under the stars and stripes. But Trump's tariff storm? It erased wars' worth of blueprints in a gust, leaving innovation stranded on barren lots, prototypes gathering dust that smells of failed ambition. Across the Atlantic, though, a seismic shift brewed, Europe pivoted toward a new rival skyline. China flung open gates wide, inviting, "Come, our realm awaits." Fresh design hubs sprouted in Shanghai's neon glow, Beijing's ancient hush blending with bold strokes, and Shenzhen's tech pulse. Packs sealed in the electric frontier, revolutions in batteries that hum softly, autonomous drives gliding smooth as silk. Mercedes pivoted dramatically, that US-bound EV heart now pulses in Chinese labs, electrifying ambitions redirected. BMW swapped shores, erecting a mammoth plant in Chengdu, its foundation echoing with echoes of missed American opportunities. Audi? It eyed Asia's explosive potential, where political waves are calmer, profits richer, signaling a deeper plunge into untapped empires. This? A brutal 1-2 punch for the US, hurling legends out and fueling a foe's ascent unwittingly. Long-term? Folks might gamble on Ford or GM strides bridging the gap, their own factories feeling the phantom presence. Yet calamity reigns, the web frayed, German exodus tangling threads. US vital bits rely on European veins, touchscreens that feel alive, alloys that ring with strength, all imported and now pricier, spiking costs that sting like a fresh wound, inflating prices consumers can't evade. How will the homeland ghosts recover, or will rival whispers turn into triumphant roars? Previously, we explored how German luxury brands abandoned the US market, turning their backs on decades of investment, leaving vast factories echoing with emptiness and shattering global supply chains that once hummed like a well-oiled machine. Imagine this, could Trump's tariffs really force iconic brands like BMW, Mercedes, and Audi to flee America forever, costing the nation billions and handing China a throne in the automotive world? Picture the engine of progress grinding to a halt, claws of uncertainty digging deep, as loyal customers feel the sting of betrayal in every empty dealership lot. As ripples from this exodus spread, production costs skyrocketed, like a tidal wave crashing over fragile shores, making everyday vehicles feel like rare treasures out of reach. Economists whispered that President Trump's shield for homegrown industry had twisted into a double-edged sword, rattling America's car kingdom and leaving buyers counting pennies amidst the chaos. Some painted optimistic visions, claiming short-term storms would give way to mighty U.S. chains built from scratch, but doubt lingered thick in the air, a fog that blurred every hopeful forecast. Fear gripped digital giants too, as they tweaked plans, worried a single tweet might unleash similar doom on their empires. Was this upheaval truly justified? One faction roared approval, fists clenched, "They've gorged on our market profits for years, but shipped our jobs overseas." Trump's supporters hailed him as a hero, insisting factories should have stayed home or perished. Yet, the opposition lashed back. Voices trembling with lost dreams, Mercedes-Benz had forged bonds in Alabama for generations, their Tuscaloosa plant a beacon of steady employment. BMW offered livelihoods to thousands in South Carolina, where the Spartanburg winds once carried the roar of success. With this ruthless policy, they argued, irreplaceable American pillars crumbled. If profits vanished under the tariff hammer, departure was the agonizing choice, no silver lining in the void. Who's truly emerging victorious in this high-stakes gamble? A shroud of mystery blankets the fate, as German titans gamble their fortunes in Asia's rising sun, lured by China's welcoming embrace, or perhaps bide time for sweeter US deals. Meanwhile, America dreams of pioneering an autonomous future, but immediate wounds bleed red, losses tallied in hushed boardrooms. Germany paints a grim picture, labeling Washington's leadership erratic and unbending, forcing a redrawn trade map stained with suspicion. And China? It smirks in the shadows, wooing these glamorous imports as pawns in its global domination chess game, forever amplifying its automotive might. Zoom out to the macroeconomic abyss. Analysts foresee a brutal drop of around $45 billion in U.S. automotive trade, dwarfing the giants against 2024's $350 billion import mountain. But agony deepens, those Spartanburg gems, like the BMW X5 and X6 roared to life in America, graced European and Asian roads as made in the USA masterpieces. Close that valve, and exports plummet a punishing $15 billion, the air heavy with the metallic tang of halted dreams. In a shocking twist of fate, the American automotive landscape faces upheaval as German giants seem poised to withdraw. The consensus among analysts is stark: the U.S. automotive trade volume could plummet by approximately $45 billion. This eye-opening figure emerges from a backdrop where total automobile and parts imports are projected at a staggering $350 billion in 2024, making the anticipated decline particularly significant. Consider the consequences. Models like the BMW X5 and X6, once proudly labeled as made in the USA after being produced in Spartanburg, are now staring down a bleak future as export channels tighten. Reports suggest that the impending exit of German manufacturers could trigger a staggering $15 billion reduction in automotive exports alone. This scenario raises a critical question: could the departure of these illustrious brands be a double-edged sword? While it may appear that import reliance is lessening, the reality is that it also strips the U.S. of invaluable export revenues. The fallout doesn't stop there. An alarming 2,500 supply chain companies are facing closures or downsizing, having depended heavily on these German firms for their business. Their critical role in supporting both foreign OEMs and domestic brands is now compromised. A diminished presence means the lifeblood for many local suppliers has all but dried up. Surprisingly, as these firms brace for impact, there is little clarity on how to adapt. Some contemplate moving operations to neighboring Mexico or Canada, yet the allure of the American market remains. With the void left by German brands, there exists a colossal production gap that must be filled. Economists warn of a potential loss of up to $4 billion in business volume within the automotive supply chain alone. In a landscape where nothing is guaranteed, even storied brands like Mercedes, BMW, and Audi could find themselves bidding farewell. This unfolding saga serves as a stark warning: the once invincible automotive giants may now hear the echoes of a closing bell. What will the future hold for these legendary names? Is this the beginning of the end for luxury car manufacturing in America, or a chance for rebirth in a new era? As uncertainty looms over this chapter in automotive history, the answers remain a gripping mystery. Your thoughts are essential. How do you perceive this imminent change? Join the conversation in the comments below.